Before we hop into today's episode, I just wanted to wish everyone a happy Pride Month. Whether you are a member of the community or a proud ally, it is amazing to have you here. June is a wonderful time for the parades, the celebrations, and as we're living in a time where LGBTQIA rights are continuously under attack, continue to be a marginalized identity where federal protections are being taken away. It is so important that we are loud, that we are true about our advocacy. I am so happy to have you all here and building this community. So happy Pride, get out there, celebrate with the community, donate, volunteer, advocate where you can, and enjoy the parade and festivals in your town. I'm so excited for you all to hear today's episode. We are diving into all things entrepreneurship, and Alex's story is one that still continues to resonate with me today. So without further ado, tune in. If you enjoy it, please leave a rating, please leave a comment. It really helps boost the show. And I'll talk to y'all on socials. Welcome back to the pod. I am so excited for my guest today. She is the owner and founder of City Mouse NYC. Found her journey on TikTok. She is working full-time and transitioning out of this full-time role to commit to her business full-time. Alex Rutkay of City Mouse NYC. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here to talk with you.
Where did the name City Mouse come from?
You wouldn't believe how often I get that question. It's funny. I was walking home from dinner and I literally had this idea for this brand, a parenting brand that was focused on city living, city motherhood. And I just thought of City Mouse. It just felt like it came to me, as good ideas often do. And I was like, boom, that's it. That makes sense. I'm a city mouse. I'm not a country mouse. And it's a reference to that children's story.
Mm-hmm.
Just it kind of worked for a parenting brand.
Okay. You were born and raised NYC?
Not born, but I spent a lot of my childhood here because my mother was from New York and my grandmother was from New York. And I grew up mostly in Massachusetts. I moved around quite a bit as a child, but I've been here for 22 years.
Okay. I mean, it sounds like it's in your blood too.
It's
so basically,
I feel like I can claim New York as like something. I'm not a native as I didn't go to younger under school here. I can't think. My brain's not working today, but I definitely spent a lot of my childhood in New York City.
Mm-hmm. So tell us about City Mouse NYC. You have created a product specifically for mothers. Tell us a little bit about that.
It started with a problem, which was that I had my son. I had him in 2020 during the pandemic, like right before the pandemic. And we spent that entire first year inside, as you know. And I was very kind of like itching to get out once things lifted. And we went to dinner one night and I realized, my son was in this phase where we needed to carry some things, but not everything. And I didn't have a bag that was cute that I felt could carry.
Mm-hmm.
I hadn't dressed up in such a long time. I wanted to use one of my little purses that was sitting in my closet. It fit nothing I needed for a toddler. And that's when I had this idea that we should have some type of elevated small option that works for different phase of life, different phase of parenting. And that's when I knew I had to make it basically.
Yeah. And now you have scaled it to almost seven figures, and you have consistently explored how to better not only your systems, the product, the user experience. I'm following your series right now, how you're transitioning out of your full-time job in production to commit to your business full-time. I actually want to start there because a lot of times we do not always, when we talk about the founder life, we don't always integrate the piece where we may not be able to leave our full-time jobs or just haven't left it yet while still working on our businesses also like simultaneously full-time. Tell us about what that journey has been like for you and why you have chosen to share it online.
I felt like when I came on TikTok to talk about my brand and I wound up on the founder side, all I could see was video after video of founder saying, I'm quitting my corporate job to start a brand. And I think that's amazing. but I felt like it was highly unrelatable for somebody like me,
Mm-hmm.
especially a woman in her 40s who has responsibilities and I need health insurance and I can't just
Mm-hmm.
fly off the handle and do whatever I want anymore like I could in my 20s. I certainly don't have any familial support. So there's that element. And I felt like it needed to be shared. The reality of running a business and growing a business and scaling a business in a very expensive city, having a family, being a later stage
Mm-hmm.
factor, and it needed to be spoken about. So, I'm all for keeping a day job until you really can't anymore. And I feel like I'm approaching that point where I've hit like a threshold with my business where I'm able to take it to where I want to. As you know, running a business, it takes everything you have. And I feel like
Mm-hmm.
this past year I've just been coasting and like it's not giving the growth I want it to. So, something has to change
Mm-hmm. What day are you on, by the way,
of
of your like transitioning out of your
oh. So I'm in a unique situation because I'm on a show. I do makeup on a TV show. The show runs
okay.
months out of the year and
Mm-hmm.
the show wraps in April 11th as of right now. And that basically, what's beneficial about my industry is that you can work. You're technically a freelancer, even if you go job to job. I'm
Mm-hmm.
employed full time on a job, which means I can work 5 days a week on this job. I have 5 days of work that they offer me. But when it ends, I can still freelance if I want to, or I can take that time off between the show, the season, and then go back to the season in July. Up until this point, I've just done that. It's like I'll go back to the
Mm-hmm.
show and I'll still work in between in that hiatus period. I'll still take outside jobs just to keep the income rolling. Last year was the first year I didn't take outside jobs in a hiatus. And now this year's the year where I don't go back to a full-time show.
Okay. It
So
makes sense.
until April, basically. So like I don't think I'm ever going to feel comfortable either, and I think like a lot of us can relate to that idea that there's so much that goes into making a huge decision like this that I don't know if I'm going to feel at peace with the choice every day. It's something I'm kind of like thinking about and contending with. And I'm like, am I ready? Can I do this? Like, I'm scared, and I think
Mm-hmm.
that's a very normal thing to feel, a normal thing to talk about. And I don't see anybody
Yeah.
talking about how scared they are.
Yeah. As you think about it right now, what feels the most uncomfortable about it?
I'm very scared. Like, even though my business is doing financially a certain amount of money every day, pretty much without any extreme effort on my part, which is a blessing, I have maybe irrational fears that something will happen and it will just one day die and I won't make any money. None of these things really make sense when it comes to anxiety, but it really does. It is about finances quite often. And I think that that needs to be talked about. I'm the breadwinner right now with my
Mm-hmm.
family. My husband left his job to work for our company almost 2.5 years ago. So there's just like extra pressure to really make it happen, but I also thrive with
I
that.
feel like that's why a lot of people choose the founder. They like that
Yes, we all
extra
yeah.
pressure that it's like we're at a time crunch, but it also sounds like there is this sense of responsibility that you feel. I mean, for your not only for your business, but also for your family because they sound very intertwined. And so the stability that a full-time typical 9 to 5 offers goes away and you are not only the sole provider, you're also the head of what happens to the business, the decisions, how to continue generating revenue. And that is a different kind of pressure that I think a lot of us don't always know how to externalize or talk about. And sometimes I think we hide it.
Totally. I want to bring that to light also, in my content that I talk about because when I do talk to other founders about this, there is usually that point where a founder says, okay, I'm going to take the leap. And almost every single person has had the same exact fear, same exact thinking, catastrophic thinking,
Mhm.
It's just, maybe it's part of us, like we prepare, hope for the best and prepare for the worst. That's always kind of how I've been. And that doesn't mean you're not going to be successful. It just means you're kind of like weighing all of your options where when you're younger, it just isn't as much pressure, isn't as much
Yeah.
responsibility. I also don't want to change my lifestyle. That's like a huge thing. I'm very used to living the way I live and I like to be comfortable and I'm not like willing to sacrifice everything that I have because I did that for a long time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a quality of life that you want to maintain, and I think a lot of us were like weighing, how can I maintain this quality of life and make this choice to move forward for my business, but you've also been talking about being a later in life like content founder, especially as a woman, and talking more about that and how that's not something that's represented as much. What motivated you to start talking about that more?
I had made this post one day and said I had just started my founder account and I was like, I'm 41. I'm about to speak on a panel. I hit seven figures in my business at, 42 and I had my child at 37 and it's not too late. And it went, pretty viral. And I was blown away by the amount of women saying I needed to hear this. I realized how important a message it is because it is something you're inundated with on social media. Young founder, leaving a corporate job, starting a business, and there's no context to that really. You're kind of like, well, how are you living? Like, is hurting you? Like, what's really happening here? Like, I'm curious, genuinely. And I think a lot of young people put that pressure on themselves too, to like hit those milestones early. It's like, I couldn't imagine growing up with social media the way it is now. Like, just being on it in my 40s is intimidating enough. Like being somebody whose frontal lobe is still developing, like having to like get bombarded with this type of pressure and information on a daily basis, it like freaks me out for the younger generation. So I want to be that type of person for somebody that's like, there's time, like live your life unfolds like the way it does. A lot of times you don't have control over the way those, I had cancer. That's like something that was a huge part of my journey. I didn't know that was going to happen, obviously. Like, things like happen in life that push your timeline or alter your timeline. But my grandmother used to always tell me that life is long. And she was my favorite person on the planet. And I believe her. It's life is long. Like you have time. Don't waste it, but you do have time to make your goals happen.
Yeah. And I think my generation has internalized the messaging of life is too short. And I don't know where it really got ignited into us, but seeing your content is so motivating for me because it reminds me that I have time, that I don't need to hit these crazy milestones so early on. And that also doesn't mean that I'm a failure because I didn't hit those milestones. So seeing your story continue to evolve and you like being transparent about the ways that your business or struggled early on or ways that you've had to revamp it or pivoted and to now being able to scale it in a really massive way is really so inspiring.
So happy to hear that. That's all I could want from making my content.
It brings a different perspective that is so important in the founder space. Like you said, there are a lot of young people. And so, again, this urgency, this pressure, and I think this commitment to being in the right place at the right time and doing all of the things in this very specific order in this linear timeline is what a lot of that content looks like. And seeing folks who are more seasoned, who are 10, 15, 20 years ahead, it's less linear.
Yes.
It is, there are ups, downs, there are like stagnant points. And I feel like that is the most uncomfortable for a lot of folks is those stagnant moments because it's like, well, nothing's happening. I'm doing all this work and nothing is still happening. And so seeing folks who are 10, 20 years ahead, it's like, that's all of this is very normal.
It's super normal. Yeah, I wish it was more normalized when I was coming up too, because I felt like that, and then I wasn't inundated with all of the social media of it all. So I just felt like kind of a failure in my own life. Like I was always the person that just kept experimenting and flopping, and everybody's like, oh, that's a real cute little side hustle you have. Like nobody took me seriously. They just thought it was kind of cool that I was doing stuff, I guess. But, you know, I find that people don't take you so seriously until you're hitting these milestone numbers, which is unfortunate because there was a lot of work. It's always that like iceberg image that comes to mind when it's like people see the tip and they don't see all of the stuff beneath the surface. But yeah, we all do. And life is nonlinear. And I don't know what's going to happen a year from now. Like my life might be completely different. It's just, you got to ride the waves and just keep learning and growing and pivoting. The ability to do that is, I think, vital to success.
How did you combat the noise when people would say, oh, this is a side hustle or, your silly little business? How did you allow yourself to hear that and still move forward?
I listen to my gut quite
Mm,
often. It's like I'm very in tune with my inner compass, I guess you can say. And even though there was that external noise and it did not make me feel so great, I really believed that at some point
mm,
I would figure something out and that something would click. And I just had to keep trying. I had all those businesses. It was like they were all kind of like 30 grand, 40 grand, 50 grand. Some of them lost money. And it was hard to try to like keep convincing people around me as well as myself that like I was worth like investing that time and money into over and over and over again, or spending the money that I didn't really have at the time to try something new. But yeah, it was just like I felt like each thing was such a learning moment for me, like each failure. And I just believed that I would, like everything else in my life, you just keep climbing up that ladder. You'll get to where you want to be. You just keep going. You just can't stop.
yeah. Oh my goodness, what were your earlier iterations of City Mouse before you've landed where you are today?
I had my very first business, a product-based business. That's all I've ever really known. I had a decal for high-heeled shoes because Louboutins were really a rage at the time. I think it was like 2011. And I couldn't afford them because I was broke and I
Mhm.
was like doing makeup on a freelance basis. And I was like, oh, it'd be really cool if I could turn my shoes into some kind of fun pattern on the bottom. And I made these decals. And like within a week, I got approached by glamour.com and they wrote this article about me. It was my first like press exposure ever. I was like making these things on the floor of my apartment. It was a mess. And I got a wholesale order like 2 weeks after that, like for 75
Dang.
units, like also crazy. I'd never managed wholesale in my life before that. So I was thrown into the mix with that product. Eventually, I just didn't connect with it anymore. And I wound up trying other types of businesses like jewelry brands. I had a jewelry line that I was making jewelry myself for a while and selling it on Etsy and to friends and family. And then I started a clothing line, which actually was great, but it also was very challenging to make out of my apartment. I was screen printing. You know anything about screen printing? It's completely insane to be doing out of a New York City apartment. I'm working screens myself and screen printing there. So that was crazy. And then I had a little business, another jewelry company, and this was my first kind of foray into overseas marketing, manufacturing with two friends that I had met in the film industry. And we were a great match creatively for each other, but
Mhm.
you have to have partnerships. You have to have one person that's good at one thing, another person that's good at another. And we were all kind of good at the same thing. So it didn't really go anywhere. And then there was City Mouse, and that was like,
Mhm.
I had sworn off entrepreneurship. Right before that, I had the clothing business, which I had closed, and it was a pandemic, and I started messing around with print on demand on Etsy. So I was doing that. And then I messed around with Amazon FBA and I invested in a product in China and sent it to the
Mhm.
warehouse and had to liquidate it because it wasn't selling. So yeah, it was all of this like mess of like
Mhm.
experimentation, but each step got me closer. Each step I got a little braver to try something new and, test the waters in a different way. And I lost,
Yeah.
but look like where I am now. It's like all of that lesson, all of that
Mhm.
learning.
All that risk has brought you where you are today. Constantly trusting yourself, being willing to experiment, being willing to fail, get back up and keep trying has landed you in the spot that you're in now. But it sounds like you've always been attracted to product-based businesses.
I don't know why.
Would
I just like I couldn't even tell you. Like it's just something, I guess I like to create and then it's cool to create something that people want. And then I kind of got into
Mhm.
this idea that people like are using the things I make in their everyday life, like, and it's a part of their life. And that's really fun to me, really interesting.
What would you say a lot of people don't know about running a product-based business?
When I talk to people who want to start product-based businesses, nobody understands how to get something manufactured. It feels like that's the first step that deters people. They're like, well, I have this great idea, but I don't know how to get it started. And I wish they knew how easy it actually was because all you really have to, you don't have to have like a designer, depending on the complexity of your product, obviously. But I went to my manufacturer. I'm an artist also, so I can draw and paint. And I didn't even have like a tech pack type of thing to present to my designer at the time. And I still got what I wanted made. My products are
Mhm.
complicated, like I said, but you don't have to have all of the barriers to entry with product-based business. It's just not real. It's like I
Mm.
can get something made.
So it sounds like it's mostly like in our heads
So
about the challenge, the hurdle that comes with product based.
yes, I think, there's a misconception that it's like a ton of money or like I said, that you have to be an artist or a designer to have something made. But I think to be a real entrepreneur in the product-based world anyway, you really have to be able to break things down into small steps, like in any entrepreneur, but in product-based, because it can be so overwhelming to figure out how to bring a product to market. If you break it into these tiny little steps, like what can I do every day? Can I research a manufacturer
Hmm.
today? Can I talk to a manufacturer today? Can I get a sample made? How do I get it shipped here? And then you just figure it out piece by piece. And it's actually really fun and satisfying when you do make it happen.
So you have managed to like exist through so many different marketing trends, phases of marketing, from email campaigns to social media, I imagine to in-person marketing to some degree. Do you enjoy marketing?
I used to hate it, to be honest.
Okay.
I've made my entire career of being a behind the scenes person as a makeup artist. It's like, I'm here to support you and to put myself out there in the way of marketing used to make me really uncomfortable. I have learned to love it because it's an essential part of having a business in this day and age as a bootstrapped solo founder. You have to learn how to love the parts that you are uncomfortable with because
Hmm.
like I really like to make money and I really like to connect with people. And those two things like overshadow my hatred for sales and marketing.
What do you think you hate? What do you think you hate so much about marketing or
I,
used to?
well, I guess like one of the things that kind of frustrates me the most is how marketing trends change so frequently. What I try to do to combat that is just show up authentically as myself. And I think like we're so lucky to be in an age of like TikTok and social media because I went on TikTok with my sample, my raw sample, and I was like, look, I made this bag. I don't know if anybody's going to want it, and I was talking about the features and benefits, but I connected with so many women that way. And some
Hmm.
moms, and they started pre-ordering my bag, and I was like, oh, wait, I was like, free marketing. It's amazing. I'm connecting
Hmm.
with my ideal audience this way. And I'm learning to be a better founder. I'm learning how to speak and communicate better. So there's so many benefits that come along with being a forward-facing founder and, taking marketing head on myself.
I have learned so much in growth and systems and everything just from marketing and being able to talk to your customers or just talk to people in general, building relationships. Like I've learned so much through the marketing aspects and believe that visibility truly can open any door for you. Like if you allow yourself to step in it, get out of all the hurdles and oh, I'm not showing up perfectly and stop overthinking it. Like it gets to be really fun and you get to attract the people that are meant to find you and you'll find people who you would have never thought would have found you, but you showed up and you did. Do you have a favorite marketing era?
I think it's now. It's like
Okay.
social media era. I love that I can have an idea and I can put it, it kind of excites me now to like think of different ways to I've been talking about diaper bags for like 3 years now, and it's kind of exciting to think about different ways to communicate what I'm doing to people and make that, make my video formats like fun and play with like
Mm-hmm.
CapCut and just experiment. I think it's so much fun right now, this era of marketing.
Nice, nice. And so April is kind of the bigger goal. Do you have plans for what you want to do after April? Are you allowing yourself to continue exploring the journey? I guess like what's next?
My husband and I have talked about, possibly leaving New York City, which I'm not sure how that's going to look for me yet. Kind of taking myself out of New York means that I won't have that direct access to my entertainment industry as a crutch, kind of, because I feel like that can kind of be detrimental too. You kind of know it's there, and I'm like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
yes, but the whole point is to go hard on my business in April, now till April and going forward. But, I think it looks like I take a step back, I take those months and like evaluate how things are going. And, hopefully my business just keeps growing and
Mm-hmm.
that's it. And
Mm-hmm.
can, support my family and live this great life and keep connecting with other women. And sharing everything I've learned on the way. And yeah, there's a lot, like so many people like come across my feed who are such like insane founders and have built these massive empires. And I'm so inspired by them. And I'm like, why should I cut myself off and limit myself at 7 figures, like where I've hit the
Hmm.
goal that I had on my taped to my computer for years? What's next? So I'm
Yeah.
excited to see what happens. I'm trying to stay open to the possibility.
In the midst of this business transition, it also sounds like there's like an identity shift happening.
Yeah, totally. Totally. I have to view myself as a founder. I've always been a makeup artist and something that's like, and it's amazing, been an amazing career as a makeup artist. I've worked with some of the most famous people on this planet who are so talented and kind and cool and inspiring. And stepping away from that as my identity is strange because you're kind of an entrepreneur. You are an entrepreneur as a freelancer,
Hmm.
like figure things out yourself, and always have a job coming. So you have to be smart with how you structure things in your time. But I, it's a different level of like independence and an identity that I have craved for so long. Like I am on my own, a strong female founder who's very successful. I'm not just a makeup artist who works for other
Hmm.
people anymore. But even that, it's like I feel like I'm kind of down here. Like when I meet like an entrepreneur who's successful and I say I'm a makeup artist, because I have when I've been on shows, I've met like people from Shark Tank and I'm providing a service to them in a way. So
Hmm.
you're kind of your positioning is like different as opposed to two founders. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's like I'm not trying to, that's how I felt anyway. That maybe isn't the reality of the situation, but that's always kind of how I felt. I've always been like, oh, this is my makeup artist and she's a makeup artist and
Hmm.
that's what she does. And I'm like, but no, I'm a business owner. I'm a founder. I've done a lot with my entrepreneurial journey and I want to be recognized for that.
What stopped you from leading with the founder, business owner part of yourself?
In this industry, you kind of can't. So it's like there's a delicate balance. And I feel like I've been asked a lot, like I've had exposure to insane people, right? It's like people that could change my life probably tomorrow
Hmm.
on my brand. And there's a line that you can't cross as a makeup artist. It's just an unspoken thing. Like I worked with Mark Cuban several times and everybody was like, tell me about your business. And I'm like, I can't. Like, I can't. It's going to make things weird. Like, I can't do that,
Hmm.
So I just have to show up in the role that I am to him in that moment. But I emailed him like a month ago. I watched his masterclass and he wrote back. And I thought that was really cool. And I was like, you know what? Like, I felt very vindicated by that experience because I wanted to tell him who I was and what I've done. And I'm so proud of him.
Hmm.
And I did. So I emailed him and
Hmm.
told him that. And he was like, that's awesome. Like, it was just like a nice little one-line message. But like the fact that he even responded was just so cool. And I felt very vindicated by that.
I mean, it's giving yourself permission to show up in front of the people that you showed up as a makeup artist, and you're now like, hey, I'm also actually this doing this really cool thing and allowing myself to transition out of that makeup artist identity into a bolder, informed, like stronger part of like myself.
Totally. Yeah. I'm proud of myself. Like, I feel like being able to show up on social media every day in the way I do and talk about what I know. And like I say, I'm not the wealthiest or most successful or, smartest person out there, but like, I'm really proud of myself and I'm really proud of what I've overcome. And I think that, should be celebrated and shared so it can inspire others.
Absolutely. And I am glad that you recognize how much work and effort and how much you've allowed yourself to put into the business and to overcome all the obstacles, all the naysayers, because a lot of people don't get past those points where you get knocked down, where you fail, where you lose a bunch of money and you're not sure how to recoup. There are so many people who turn around and say, you know what, let me just go back to 9 to 5. This was really hard, but you've allowed yourself to move through all of the really hard parts. And in that, you've been able to see your own resilience.
Resilience is like number one, I think. And I kind of never really celebrated that part of myself either until someone pointed it out recently. They're like, you're really resilient. And I was like, oh, and they're like, that's a really good quality as an entrepreneur. And I was like, oh, you're right. It's like I've kind of like pushed through things in my life. It's just like what I felt like I had to do. But it is, I do think it's a defining characteristic of people who kind of make it in this world.
Mhm. Has it been hard to see yourself in the journey and be able to point out, I mean, not only the moments where you've had to be resilient, but the really high moments of your career?
Has it been hard to
Like to see yourself, to name the success or name those moments where you've pivoted and really believed in yourself.
looking back, I can and backwards, but I look at myself where I am now and I'm like, it's not enough. What's next? What's next? And I feel
Mm.
like that's a detrimental part about being an entrepreneur because I also think this is something a lot of people relate to. The next milestone, my next goal, like when am I going to start saying I'm an 8-figure founder instead of a 7-figure founder, and it never being enough. And I have this vague memory of my mother saying that to me when I was like young, like a teenager. She was like, I don't think anything's ever going to be enough for you. I don't know if she said that in a way that was negative or just realistic because it is true. It does feel like
Hmm.
that. And I find that's a constant challenge for me to slow down and look at what I've done and be proud of it and honor it and recognize it. And then also simultaneously prepare for what else I want and like
Hmm.
moving forward.
Yeah, living in that gratitude space. I get that a lot too. I get it's like, I mean, I remember as early as high school, people be like, when is it enough? Like, when can you recognize you've achieved it? I'm like, I don't know yet, but I know I'm gonna keep going. I know that I want more. There is a way that I see myself knowing what I can accomplish and knowing what I'm capable of, and I know I have not met that yet.
Yeah, the
That I
goal
know for sure.
is moving. Yeah, it
Hmm.
does. I just think that's a common trait of an entrepreneur. It's like, and I don't think it should be negative either. I used to look at it as a negative thing, but I don't think it is. Like striving for more shouldn't ever be seen as negative.
Yeah, and I think as founders, like we can't afford to like stay in one place. I think that.
Right. Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's like you can't be stagnant for too long. You can sit in it for a minute, but it's like you gotta times things keep moving around you, so you gotta keep moving
Mhm.
also.
Absolutely. What would you say to somebody who is sitting in their full-time job right now and wanting to start a business but don't know where to start?
First, you have to identify what you want to do, obviously, and then I think we don't realize in a full-time job, this is something I noticed, especially recently when I look around on set, how much time we waste in our day, how much time we're scrolling and we're checking out and we're reading the news and we're reading
Hmm.
media, and how all of that time can be spent moving you toward what you want to be doing. So, first step is recognizing what you want to do, then recognizing the time that you waste in the day and the time that you could be utilizing to move you towards your goal instead of just dreaming about it.
Oh my gosh, the time thing, I feel like people don't recognize how in control they are of their orbit, of their sphere of understanding, scrolling, even I've like, even what I watch on TV, what I'm reading, everything is so, see, like I treat it as that serious. Like it's because that can be a moment where I'm feeling inspired. That can be a moment where I'm working or writing down an idea, but we give away our time so freely and we don't even recognize it sometimes.
How did you recognize the value of time?
I have always been, I won't say always. I will say about 3 or 4 years ago, I went like to a carnival with a group of people and I had a free day and they weren't people I was necessarily really close with. They were just people who were going to the same place that I wanted to check out. And I didn't have fun. I didn't enjoy it. And in that moment, I was like, wow, I really wasted my time and I'm never going to do that again. So from that moment on, I started looking at time like as its most precious, like 10 minutes, and I'll try something once. If I don't enjoy it, I won't do it again. But I've been able to train the muscle of identifying what is truly worth my time and being able to revamp my time. And so I love getting 8 hours of sleep. I believe that's really important. Don't go out late as much. I don't drink a lot like at night anymore. Even TV. Oh, I am pretty like particular about what I watch on TV. I realize as someone who like podcasts frequently, who's creating content frequently, all of this is draining my energy. It's either adding or taking away. And so when I got this painstaking internal clock that I might have wasted my time, when that started to activate for me, I realized like time is just the most precious thing ever.
It's an amazing realization to have. I didn't have it until I got cancer.
Okay.
I wasted a lot of time in my life. I tried things, of course, like, but I feel like
Mhm.
looking back, I'm so in awe of younger people who are able to like recognize that and maximize their time, whether it's through an experience or something they've been taught, because I do believe you can be taught how precious time is. I don't know if I was taught that either. And it changed my life, like everything. You have a very finite, like if you literally, and people think it's morbid, but it's not because we're all going to die one day. You literally look at the end of your life as a real thing, a real thing. You're going to die one day. You don't know how much time you have until you hit that point. Like, what do you do
Mhm.
every single day that you're going to be in your deathbed and you're going to look back and be like, I don't have any regrets. I tried everything. I did everything. I might have failed, but I tried. And yeah, that would definitely shift things for you.
Mhm. It was a big, and I didn't expect it to be this big eye opener. Oh, I don't want to waste my time anymore. But I also was someone that would say yes if I had the time. Like if I had the chunk in my calendar, I rather than taking that time for me as my time, it was like, oh, this is time to do something else for someone else to give it. It's something to be given away versus something to be protected. And when I realized, no, actually, this space of time is sacred. It's important. You might like because you're not going to get it back, and so it is as important as money. It is one of the most important currencies that we start with, that we have, and so now it's I try to be very thoughtful about the time that I spend, whether it's recording, whether it's sitting in front of clients and whether it's my free time. All of it is valuable and should be treated as such.
Absolutely. Yeah, that changes the game. Also putting like the value on your time, like even a monetary value on your time is altering. I did that as a makeup artist too. I used to just give away my services. I would cheapen my talent. And one day I realized I'm like, oh no, no, no. Like my time is worth money. My attention and thought is worth money. And that's a good lesson for people who freelance for a living to learn because it took me a long
Mhm.
time. And I know a lot of artists also don't value their time the way it should be. Because if you have a gift, a natural gift, it's kind of like, oh, well, I'm just going to give it away. And like, no, girl.
Mhm. That's also like the value of leaning into doing your own marketing and doing free marketing because a lot of times we trade exposure for that monetary, but it's like if you can figure out how to maximize your own marketing, you are going to put yourself in such a strong position
Yep.
to find people who are going to pay for your time, for your skills.
Yep. Absolutely.
Alex, this has been a great conversation. I think so many people I hope they pull so much from this conversation. I'm so excited to continue following what you're doing and seeing what you're doing. And I really appreciate you taking the time to sit down with me and talk.
Same. Thank you. You're very inspiring. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.